Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Before we begin, make sure you press the like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss our next stories and explanations about the hidden forces shaping our world. Now, stay with me, because today's topic may affect your life more than you ever imagined. The end of this video, you will understand why a single interest rate decision, made behind closed doors, can quietly decide whether prices rise, jobs disappear, or opportunities suddenly vanish, without most people ever realizing what really happened. This is not about getting rich. This is not about politics. This is about an invisible system that touches everyone, even those with no savings, no loans, and no investments. Watch until the end, because the final part reveals why interest rates don't just control money. They control timing, choices, and the direction of entire societies. And as you listen, leave a comment below with your thoughts. Do interest rates help protect the economy, or quietly limit ordinary people? Your perspective matters here. Before this story truly begins, take a moment to support this channel by pressing like, subscribing, and sharing this video. Doing so helps this story reach more people who live under the same invisible system, whether they realize it or not. The room is quiet. No cameras. No crowds. Just a long table, carefully arranged documents, and people who rarely speak in public. In places like the Federal Reserve and Bank Indonesia, decisions are made that never feel dramatic at first. A few words are spoken. A number is adjusted. The meeting ends. And yet, the effects begin to spread immediately. Interest rates are not announced as commands. They move more like a current beneath the surface, unseen but powerful. When central banks lower rates, money begins to move faster. Loans feel lighter. Spending feels easier. When rates rise, the current slows. Caution replaces confidence. People hesitate without fully knowing why. These institutions do not choose interest rates at random. They watch inflation, employment, and economic growth, using data from national statistics offices, labor reports, and long-term price indexes published by organizations such as the International Monetary Fund. Their goal is stability, but stability has a price. Every adjustment favors some actions and quietly discourages others. Halfway through this story, remember to stay with it and keep listening. Understanding this first step changes how everything that follows will sound. Once the rate is set, banks across the country adjust almost instantly. News headlines summarize it in seconds, but the deeper effect unfolds over months. Families feel it in different ways. Companies respond without announcements. Governments adjust their plans. All of this begins with a single decision made far from everyday life. The flow has been set. The current is moving. And now, the money begins to touch ordinary homes. The change does not arrive with a warning. It slips into daily life quietly, often disguised as a number on a screen or a sentence buried deep inside a contract. A family sits at a kitchen table, papers spread out, calculating what they can afford. They do not mention central banks. They do not mention interest rates. But the decision has already reached them. When rates are low, borrowing feels inviting. Monthly payments shrink just enough to make a dream feel reasonable. A home seems closer. A car feels necessary. Renovations suddenly appear possible. Banks promote opportunity, using language that feels supportive and calm. Behind those offers stands the same decision made far away. When rates rise, the tone changes. The same loan now feels heavier. Payments stretch longer. Approval becomes harder. What once looked achievable begins to slip out of reach. According to long-term lending data reported by institutions such as the World Bank, even small increases in interest rates can reduce household borrowing by millions across an entire economy. Pause here for a moment, and if you find this story opening your eyes, share it and leave a like. It helps more people recognize the forces shaping their choices. The real mystery is not why some loans are approved and others are denied. The mystery is how people often blame themselves. They feel they waited too long. They feel they made the wrong decision. Rarely do they realize that the cost of borrowing changed before they ever sat down to decide. Over time, these individual choices add up. Fewer homes are purchased. Fewer renovations are approved. Spending slows in ways that never make headlines. The economy does not stop. It simply begins to move with caution. And while households adjust quietly, another group feels the shift even sooner. Long before the public notices a slowdown, businesses sense it. Not through headlines, but through hesitation. A planned expansion pauses. A hiring decision is delayed. A new factory remains an idea instead of a building. For companies, borrowing is not optional. It is fuel. Loans fund equipment, research, logistics, and growth. When interest rates are low, risk feels manageable. Companies invest, confident that future profits will cover today's costs. According to investment trend data compiled by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, periods of low interest rates often align with higher levels of business expansion and job creation. When rates rise, that confidence fades. The cost of money increases, and suddenly every plan must justify itself more strictly. Executives begin to ask not whether growth is possible, but whether it is safe. Projects are postponed. Hiring slows. Overtime disappears. These choices are rarely announced, yet their effects ripple outward. If you are still listening, this is the moment where many people realize why job markets can change without warning. If this perspective matters to you, support this channel now by subscribing, because the next chapters reveal how these quiet decisions reach even further. As businesses slow their spending, suppliers feel it. Contractors notice gaps in their schedules. Local economies adjust without explanation. What began as a technical adjustment in interest rates has now reshaped confidence itself. The story continues to unfold, moving away from boardrooms and into everyday habits, where another quiet shift takes place. As businesses adjust and households grow cautious, a quieter transformation begins. It happens not in offices or banks, but in small personal decisions made every day. Money that once moved quickly now pauses. It waits. When interest rates rise, saving begins to feel rewarding. A bank account that once seemed pointless now offers a reason to delay spending. People decide to wait. They postpone travel. They hold off on purchases. The idea of tomorrow starts to matter more than today. When rates are low, the opposite occurs. Saving feels slow and unrewarding. Money loses value while sitting still. Spending feels logical. Enjoyment feels urgent. The economy speeds up, driven not by excitement, but by quiet encouragement. This shift in behavior is rarely discussed, yet it shapes entire industries. Retailers notice fewer impulse purchases. Entertainment slows. Even simple routines change as people become more deliberate with every choice. If this story feels different from what you usually hear, take a moment now to support this channel. Press like and share this video so others can understand what is usually left unsaid. The most important detail is not whether people save or spend. It is why they change their behavior at the same time, without coordination. Interest rates do not order people to act. They simply tilt the environment, and millions respond instinctively. As money slows or accelerates, prices begin to react. And this is where the effect becomes impossible to ignore. At first, the change feels subtle. A receipt looks slightly longer. A routine purchase costs more than expected. Nothing dramatic happens, yet the feeling of pressure grows. This is where interest rates and daily life finally meet in a way that cannot be ignored. Inflation is not a single event. It is a slow imbalance between how much money is moving and how much can be produced. When money flows too freely for too long, prices begin to rise. Central banks respond by tightening the flow, raising interest rates to slow spending and borrowing. The intention is control, not punishment. As rates rise, demand cools. Fewer loans are taken. Spending slows. Over time, price increases begin to ease. But this process is never instant. During the transition, households feel caught in between. Wages often lag behind prices. Essentials consume a larger share of income. The cost of living becomes a quiet source of tension. This is the point where many people sense that something is wrong, even if they cannot name it. They adjust habits. They compare prices more carefully. They cut back where possible. None of this is coordinated, yet it happens everywhere at once. Stay focused on this moment. Understanding it reveals why economic stress often feels personal, even when its origins are systemic. As inflation shifts and rates continue to guide behavior, the effects move beyond borrowers and savers. They reach people who believe they are untouched by the financial system. There is a common belief that interest rates only matter to those with mortgages, credit cards, or investments. But by the time the effects reach this stage, borrowing no longer matters. The system has already adjusted around everyone. When businesses slow hiring, job opportunities become rare. When spending declines, working hours are reduced. When governments face higher borrowing costs, public projects are delayed or quietly cancelled. These changes do not ask whether someone has a loan. They simply reshape the environment people live in. Prices respond again, not always upward, but unevenly. Some goods stabilize. Others disappear. Choices narrow. Even those who live carefully, spend modestly, and avoid debt begin to feel a subtle pressure. The economy has shifted its pace, and everyone must move with it. This is the final layer of the system. Interest rates are not personal, yet they create personal outcomes. They influence timing, opportunity, and direction. They decide when growth accelerates and when caution becomes necessary. By the time the change is obvious, it has already passed through every earlier chapter. If this story has changed the way you see everyday life, now is the moment to support this channel. Press like, subscribe, and share this video so this understanding can reach further than numbers and headlines ever could.